If you didn't tell me this was a Digital Extremes game, I would assume this was made by Cauldron. It's that generic. Hey, Jarek here. I put off covering this game for a long time. I've heard it's incredibly boring. In fact, I've heard people describe this game as the perfect example of every generic mid-2000s first-person shooter wrapped into one. Now, typically my question is, how bad is this game? But today I don't really want to answer that question. I want to answer, how boring is Pariah? So much so that I would rather talk about today's sponsor, Keeps. Now, my advice to people that are going bald is typically that bald looks better than balding. But that advice doesn't work for everyone. Some people just can't pull off the bald look. I consider myself incredibly lucky that I look better bald than I do with hair. But what if you can't grow a beard, or what if you just don't look good bald in general? That's something you literally will not know until you shave your head. That prospect is not very nice when you're in your early to mid-20s and you're going bald. Now you have to deal with low self-confidence because you're balding, and then it's just a terrifying thought. What if you shave your head? Now you literally have no hair and you look worse. And to hone in on a specific point, if you can't grow a beard, don't shave your head. You look like man alien baby. It's just an odd look. Studies have shown that 2 out of 3 guys under the age of 35 is experiencing male pattern baldness. Hey, would you look at that? That's like all of my audience. Okay, so what does Keeps do? What is its aim? Its aim is to halt and prevent male pattern baldness. If you're already to my point, Keeps isn't going to help you, just to make that clear. To keep your hair, you need to grow back that male pattern baldness and prevent it from spreading. That is what Keeps aims to do. With Keeps, you can get treated from home. You don't need to go to a doctor and get a prescription. Instead, you can get your prescription mailed to you every 3 months. You literally don't have to leave your house, so you don't have to put on that hat to hide that bald spot, go to a doctor, and talk about an awkward subject. But why Keeps instead of something else? Well, there's only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products. Keeps is one of them. So if you want to try out Keeps, you can get your first purchase 50% off by going to keeps.com/Jarek. Huge thanks goes to Keeps for sponsoring this video. It's something very topical to, I'm sure, a lot of my viewers, and I get it, I understand it. But for now, let's talk about Pariah. Do we have to? I guess I'll start with some positive. Let's talk about the graphics. They're not too bad. This game released on the original Xbox and PC back in 2005. Yeah, it's no Fear, but Fear also didn't release on the original Xbox or PS2. Environments are pretty large for what this is, the lighting is okay, effects do as they're supposed to, nothing stands out as good or bad. I would say for an OG Xbox game it's definitely above average, but not the best thing I've ever seen. As for the PC release, it mostly is fine with a few minor issues. It released in 2005, so it doesn't really have support for bigger resolutions. You'll have to change something in any file to get 1440, but I won't hold that against this game. It is old, I kind of expect that. FOV is pretty bad, but you can adjust it in-game by changing it in the console, and this actually saves. It'll stay this way the next time you open the game, or when it loads, or whenever, so you don't have to deal with it ever again. In fact, the only thing I really can complain about when it comes to the PC release is that the aim feels awful. This aim does not feel smooth at all. You can't make minor adjustments, it's like your reticle will sort of snap into place. This makes tracking opponents really difficult. Thankfully this game isn't very hard, so it kinda doesn't matter too much. Still though, it is a little annoying to play through. Speaking of annoying, this game has so many little things that just seem like nitpicking, but they really do grate on you over the course of the game. Something else that drives me insane is that if I zoom, this is toggle for one, and I'm not a big fan of toggle. I shoot, and then I just reload, so I'm not pressing anything. It automatically is going to scope in again. I hate it when games do this. It drives me insane. And I can, like, hold on. I can reload. I'm clicking, so it should unscope, but it's still going to scope back in. So, like, God, I hate that. Oh, also, when you're reloading, if you press the reload button when you don't need to, it makes that noise. Even if you can reload. Why? It's such, like, a bunch of really small things that drive me insane. Like, I'm kind of nitpicking, but that stuff does add up while you're playing to just annoy the hell out of you. Not enough to, like, ruin the experience, but just be like, why would you do this? How about the story? Well, they tried. kind of. Actually, no, they didn't at all. I have no idea what happened in this game, and my chat had no idea either. I was completely bewildered at anything that happened in this game until I looked at the Wikipedia page later. Your character is a medic for the Alliance. Who are the Alliance? What planet are they from? What planet are you on now? Who are you fighting? Why is this war happening? I have absolutely no idea. You are apparently supposed to escort this frozen woman by the name of Karina. She is infected with some sort of important virus. Why is it important? Again, I don't know. But right at the beginning of the game, you also get infected, and this is where I need to point out that the writing and voice acting is really bad, almost comically so.
Don't move. Who are you? What's going on?
Whoa. Easy with that thing. I'm a doctor. You're very sick.
What are you talking about? How'd I get a virus?
We're not really sure how it transmits yet. Maybe through blood.
Blood?
Search and rescue better come. The fucking scavengers will eat us alive when they find us.
I think they're already here.
Why did nobody react to this? Why did he not react to the fact that someone just shot the person he's supposed to be escorting? Why is she perfectly fine and reacting and talking? What is going on? Anyway, later on you discover that someone by the name of Colonel Stockton is trying to wipe out everyone involved with this virus. Later on you find out that he apparently also has this virus and he's trying to make sure he's the only one alive with it. He wants to be the quote-unquote dominant strain. This character is not developed at all. You have no idea what his involvement is, because again, you have no idea who the Alliance is, so you don't know what the big picture is or what anyone's doing. You eventually have a boss battle with him and kill him and keep going, and that's it. I thought that would be the end of the game, but no, the game just keeps going. Because the story was boring and wasn't going anywhere, they needed to add a twist on the literal last level of the game. Turns out, your main character is a traitor to the Alliance and was working with the Shroud the whole time. Who are the Shroud? No, seriously, who the hell are the Shroud? They're name dropped like 3 times throughout the game, but they're never explained. I don't know who they are. What's going on? Anyway, apparently you were delivering Karina to the Shroud, and your reward is that you're going to get your dead daughter back. Your dead daughter who was never mentioned once throughout the game and is only just being brought up now. Also, she's dead, so apparently the Shroud have the ability to bring back the dead? Again, that also wasn't mentioned. Apparently, the Shroud is who the Alliance is fighting, and the Alliance had stolen Karina 30 years ago. Karina is basically a biological weapon. She was infected with a certain virus which gave her powers. Those powers is that when she gets really upset, she explodes. I'm not kidding you. She also can apparently regenerate and do some other things, but the main thing she does is blow up. Anyway, at this point, your main character starts questioning everything he's doing and decides to now backstab the Shroud. You suddenly fight an entirely new enemy type that isn't a new enemy type, they're just reskinned enemies that you've been fighting the entire game, but this is the first time you ever see them, just for one level. Again, not explained who and what they are. They may be aliens, but they may be mutants, who knows. Anyway, Karina is turned into an end boss, you eventually defeat her, and apparently there's nothing you can do, so you commit suicide. She gets really angry and the building explodes. This is one of the most confusing stories I've ever had to endure while playing a game. I don't know what was going on. There was never any context anywhere when I was playing the game. It's almost comical to a degree. What is happening? Okay. What happened in this game? Does anyone have any idea who the bad guy even was? Or what you were even doing? What's the context? What's the situation? What are those, like... They said they were aliens, but not aliens? I don't even remember the name. I'm so confused. I have no idea what happened. It's like we're all sitting here, we all just watched me play the game from start to end and no one knows what happened. I can't skip the ending credits. Do you really want to have your name on these ending credits? Alt F4 doesn't work! This is one of the most bewildering stories I have played through when it comes to a game. It's comical how little context there is. You don't even know who main characters are. I don't even know what side I'm fighting on. I don't even know there's a war happening. What is going on? I genuinely assumed my main character was just a mercenary caught up in all of this. So, yeah, story bad. Let's move on to the gameplay. Gameplay bad. It's also very boring. I have so little to say about this gameplay. It is as generic as everyone told me it was. This is every generic mid-2000s game rolled into one. People have described it as bad Halo. I'm not really feeling that. It doesn't feel too much like Halo to me. The movement sort of does, but not much else. It doesn't have the guns melee grenade thing that Halo does. It just has the same sort of movement that Halo did, plus the moon jumping, and that's it. Speaking of jumping, it's really awkward. If you jump into anything, it just launches you backward. Like you're a human pinball. Someone subscribe. Fox. With the Prime. I assume that will kill me. Jumping is so awkward. You try to... If I jump while walking into something? The actual combat is just shooting the same generic enemies the entire game. This is why I could have assumed it was a Cauldron game. There is no variation here. These are all the same enemies, except for carrying different guns. The most unique you get is a guy with a shield. You do occasionally have to shoot drones, but like, that's not any more interesting. Their AI is also particularly bad, and they don't even begin to understand the concept of preserving themselves. Okay, Rocket Flood. Okay, Rocket Flood. The weapons aren't any more interesting either. They're all incredibly generic and don't feel rewarding. Somehow you manage to take weapons with interesting designs, some of them having split functions, and make them not fun. This shotgun is pretty interesting in design, except for they managed to make what everyone says the Doom 3 shotgun is. The thing with shotguns in video games is that it's really hard to make them balanced. They're either underpowered or incredibly overpowered. Striking that middle ground is really hard. You need to design entire games around your sandbox. I know, no duh, but a lot of people don't quite think about this when they complain that a shotgun has little range. Let's take Halo 2 for example. This shotgun has no range at all, but it's not a bad shotgun because it has a purpose. The whole point of this shotgun is to counter the sword. And furthermore, there is a lot of CQB in Halo because melee is so important. This makes this shotgun really strong. Is it a power weapon on the tier of the rocket launcher? No, but it's still pretty dang powerful. And of course, I'm gonna talk about the Doom 3 shotgun here. Every enemy is within 10 to 15 feet, so of course it doesn't have that much range or it would be really overpowered. You need to barrel stuff enemies with this shotgun, which one-taps most enemies in the game, so yes, it's a good shotgun, but if it worked like Doom 1 and 2, the weapon balance would be thrown out the window. This game doesn't have any excuse like that. Most of the time when you're fighting enemies, you're going to be further away from them. Is this the worst shotgun I've ever used? No, I've used a lot worse. I'm just confused why they went this route. Also, for how it sounds, it's just not rewarding anyway. Even when you do get the one shot, it's not like you get some sort of big gore explosion or that much blood or anything. They just kind of fall over. At least make them ragdoll and fly backward. This game does have the classic early to mid 2000s ragdolls that are really funny to watch, so they could have used them. Oh shit, he was a rocket. Oh, speaking of that plasma gun, it's also pretty underwhelming. It's a 3-round burst plasma gun, so it does what it's supposed to. That's fine, I guess. But if you hold the button down, it will start charging a BFG-style projectile, which requires you to fire a burst before you start charging, which is dumb. But this projectile is really slow and isn't anywhere near as strong as it should be for what it is. I've seen shield enemies tank this and not care. And then there are things that just make no sense at all. Like, these turrets were a problem, and I didn't know how to deal with them. If I ran across any turret before, I would have to push a button and that would just turn them off. But here, no button existed. What I found out you had to do is shoot down the pillar so the structure would fall over. How do you take down the legs? That doesn't seem to be doing anything. It has to be that one. No, I have no idea how to get rid of these. I will just assume that I cannot. It doesn't seem like... Oh, no, okay, shooting it. That's what does it, but rocket launchers, no. That would just make too much sense. What the... What? I did no previous damage to that.
and like 3 bullets killed it.
I don't know what to say to that. So, as generic and bad as this game is, there has to at least be one good thing about it, right? Well, yes, actually. It's a relatively small thing, but I do like the health system. This works very similar to Far Cry 2. You have chunks of health that recharge, but if you lose that chunk, it's gone until you manually heal. I like this. It gives you some leeway, but is punishing enough. To manually heal, you have a medkit you can pick up. Using it restores 1 chunk at a time. Once you've used it 4 times, you'll have to reload it. Now that I've said something good, I need to say something negative. There's upgrades for the guns, and they do jack all to make them more interesting. Most of these are very basic things, like your gun is more accurate and gets stronger. They don't ever turn into something else to give you more ways to play the game. No, it's just your gun's slightly stronger now. The most useful of all the upgrades is upgrading your health kit and just giving you some extra health, or maybe just having a faster reload for your shotgun. It's the same sort of energy when you look at a skill tree and one of the things you can upgrade is like sprinting while reloading at the same time or moving faster while crouched. That's not interesting. That feels like a mandatory thing I have to get. But regardless, once you upgrade these weapons, they do get stronger. And now that we've established a big weapon arsenal and a health system where you can heal at any time you want, let's take it all away. Yep, for the final level, you get a somewhat overpowered weapon, but no real way to heal yourself, and this becomes way more annoying than the base game, and a lot more boring. I think this was their attempt at recreating something like the last level in Half-Life 2, except for it's not fun at all. Thankfully, there's a recharge station for your weapon that will also give you your health back. Regardless, this final level is not really fun, and if you die, you have to watch the long cutscene all over again. Why? Why do games do this? Make the checkpoint after the cutscene, because you can't even skip the cutscene.
Oh my god, there was a turret there. Holy shit. Oh my god, I have to watch the cutscene again. Let me skip cutscenes. This is such a long cutscene to not let me skip. Holy Can I alt tab and have it keep playing? Okay, I can. Take a quick YouTube break.
So let me roll that back. You have one weapon, it could run out of ammo, then you have to recharge. You can't heal yourself, and if you die, you need to rewatch a long cutscene that you can't skip. This game went from generic to bad. Okay, final thoughts about this game. How boring is Pariah? Well, pretty damn boring. It's only about 3 to 4 hours long, but it feels way longer than that, and I just wanted it to be over. It didn't feel like I was being tortured or anything, it's just, oh my gosh, there's so many better games you could play. And before you say, oh well, you're just shitting on an old game, think of the games that came out around that time. It came out in 2005. That's the same year as the original Fear. That's the same year as Timesplitter's Future Perfect. A year before was Half-Life 2, Doom 3, Halo 2, the original Far Cry. There were so many better games of this era. You have no reason to play this game. There's not anything crazy interesting or super funny about it. It's just boring. And that about sums it up. Talking about being bald is way more interesting. By the way, reminder, if you want to try out Keeps, you get 50% off your first purchase if you go to keeps.com/Jarek. Want to give a huge thanks to everyone that joined me over on Twitch while I streamed this at a very weird time, like 1 in the morning. If you subscribe on Twitch, you get to see my videos at least 1 week at a time, usually much sooner. And of course, a big thanks goes to all of you for watching these videos.